anything can happen to anyone in the moment. So that's not a career criminal, and that's not a criminal by choice.
If you get these three things when you leave prison, you've got the chance of reoffending is massively reduced.
I would love to think that I'd saved somebody's life one day.
She says, how are you feeling? I says, I'm the best. That's just the way it is. Watch this.
I always thought, like, again, back in the day, and now, it's like back in the day, 9:15, there's your bag of stuff, off you go. No help, no support, no nothing. That's just the way it was. Now there's a lot more help if you want to take it. Yeah. Some choose not to, and that's their choice. But I think the weakness in the system is when they get out the gate, there's not that support. You've got all the help in the world, you know, you're in jail, like you say, you felt secure, you felt safe, you had all of them things, and then we put them out, and not everybody has what you had when you left. Yeah, you know, you had family and the right people around you to keep you in that safe bubble. A lot of people, you know, their lives weren't as blessed as yours. No. And I think that's the weakness. And, you know, does prison work? I personally don't think it does, because if it did, why does the population keep going up? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So what we're doing isn't working. Said, isn't it, though?
I think there's got to be punishment. But I think you said, when you said before, I think it's a really important point. You're going to get incarcerated, and if you're a violent criminal or, you know, sexual kind of predator or whatever it is, those serious crimes, they need punishment. They do to some degree. Yes. But without therapeutic intervention and you know, units, NHS units like you were on, if that work isn't done at all, or the opportunity isn't there for it, because again, I had lots of opportunities I didn't take when I was in prison. But if the opportunity is there for that therapeutic intervention, at least that work's being done to show someone another way, or to show them, like that, your time on that unit, that kind of exploring the kind of inner space and finding out who you were and why you'd ended up there. That's huge, isn't it? Yeah. Massive. And especially for that length of time. I mean, it shocked me that was 3 years long. Yeah. But without that money and the investment, then you're right, we're on a kind of eternal recurrence of offending. The
stats show, and you've got all three, by the way, if you get these three things when you leave prison, you've got the chance of reoffending is massively reduced. Employment, money, accommodation, which you had, and your support network, the people that are around you, the right people, having the right people that are going to support you. And you had all three, which is probably why you've been a success. Not a lot of people get them. Some of them have none of them, you know. And housing's a big thing, which is why, Gary, you know, we have supported housing, and that's the reason, because when people leave prison, if you haven't got a house, what are you going to do? You know, you're bound to fail. Well, you're almost guaranteed to fail. You've got no money. What are you going to do? You're going to commit crime to get money, because you've got to eat. Do you know what I mean?
When I went back into prison to do a talk with the girls, there was one girl there that had said that she'd been let out. They had nowhere for her to go, so they give her a tent.
Yeah.
So off she went in that tent.
There's a charity that delivers them, isn't there? I forget what you call the charity,
I mean, it's better than nothing, but it's not ideal, is it?
Then what she says, like, I'm a young lass on my own, like, in a tent. I didn't want, and I knew somewhere where I could be safe overnight, so I went back to my crack house. And she says, I'd been off them all that time, but I knew I was safe there. Of course.
Little options.
And then she was recalled straight away.
There is pockets of fantastic work, and again, great staff delivering pockets of fantastic work. And it's never going to be perfect, but it is broken to some degree, and it does need some massive overhaul, and kind of the attitude of it all as well. If there's got to be confinement, then there has to be some way forward into freedom, and real freedom that involves kind of getting the opportunity to make a contribution to your community. And again, with me, I never ever saw, I mean, Tom mentioned me before, I mean, I've been at the pubs and threatened Durham prison officers and said, if you touch me mate again, I'll smash your jaw. You know, don't come you're not safe anywhere. I told the block officer in Yates's, you're not safe. You're the king in there, but and the streets are mine. You'll get hurt, so leave it out. I had to go back into prison and go, hello, changed. You know, after I'd said and done all that, and I meant it when I said it, you know, so, but when I got the opportunity to do this kind of work and to start giving back and helping, instantly I took it. And I couldn't believe how frightened I'd been of doing it. Yeah. And when I found my purpose and I get to live my passion and do what I love to do, there's prison and breaking the law just isn't in the equation. Yeah. You know, because I now know what I'm doing, and I know what I'm here for, and I know what I got sent for. You know, so I think There's a lot of work to be done in jail as well, where people have got the intellect, they've got the entrepreneurial skills, they've got the passion to become whatever they want to be. Did they get the opportunity? Is it afforded to them? You know,
I think some people won't ever change. They come out of jail, their intention, they're going out to commit crime. Them, you know, they're just not ready for that change, but there's some, I think, you know, for those that are genuinely committed to change, then that extra support outside, I think that's the weakness in the link, like, for me.
One of the things that we say when we're in jail, and we're especially again talking to the younger guys, even the older guys, but especially the younger ones, I say, listen, I know 15,000 criminals, more, you know, probably more if I put my mind to it. And I only know 3 who have never been locked up, never been to prison, you know, never spent a night in the police cells. They have never been hurt, the friends have never been hurt, and the family's never been hurt or affected or impacted in any way, and they're multimillionaires who live abroad, you know, and having a great time of it. But that's 3 out of 20,000. And I say to them, what do you think your odds are? Because I went twice and I thought I was quite smart. Do you know what I mean? But again, the system got the some time from me, thankfully, in retrospect.
So did you do 2 big sentences?
No, I literally, I got 4 years for Section 18, and then I got 6 years for Section 18. But this is quite a while ago. But I've been on remand for some really serious stuff. You know, Tom was nice enough to put us behind the door for, but no hard feelings. And I've been on trial twice for me life, where I'd been lifed off. I've been locked up for suspected murder, suspected attempted murder, suspected security van robbery, suspected bank robbery, suspected drug dealing, you know, you name it. I've pretty much been behind the door for it, in the police station for it, and multiple raids, and that awful life. And what did I mean, you're talking about the programme we used to run, and there was a young girl called Jade, and just getting out of bed, I really admired her because she had so many disabilities. Right. Just getting out of bed was like climbing Everest. She came along to our programme, and our mother brought her the first couple of times, and then our mother said, do you mind if a stepfather brings her along, you know? Will it affect the dynamics of the group? And I said, no, that'll be fine. Get him to bring her along. So we did the group, and 99% of that group had never been out of the house for about 3 or 4 years with anxiety and, you know, all of that. And the guy who joined Tony, he was a poet, and I love poetry. We started talking about poetry, and by the end of it, that whole group read out poems, and they stood up and did it in front of everyone, and it was great and wonderful, and couldn't speak highly enough about that group. It was fantastic. But one of the things that happened on that group was Tony said at the end, you don't know me, do you? And I said, I thought, how bizarre is that? Of course I know you. It's like you saying it now, but I do know you, but I don't know lots about you, but I know you. And in the end he said, listen, I'm a former Durham police firearms officer, and I was on surveillance one day, and you were walking towards somewhere, and the message was, get them on the way out and drop them in the street. And of course I said, that wasn't me. It's all alleged, which it is. It is all alleged. But I thought, how bizarre is this? He's on this group, helping me run it after all this time, and he and I are now good friends. Right. Yet if that was me, which I'm not saying it was, and he says it was, his mission was to shoot me dead in the street. So it shows you, doesn't it, how, you know, on the journey of this work, who you meet and what you come across. So yeah.
Today's episode is brought to you by the Prison Opticians Trust, providing vital eye care in prisons and empowering inmates with professional training for a better future.
Had you moved around a lot of different jails in the country?
I'd worked at other jails, yeah. I'd worked at Whitemore. I worked at Whitemore, and it was on, I don't know if you remember years ago, the IRA escaped. It's like, you've got Whitemore, which is a Cat A jail, but inside that there's a special unit. Right. And they were all natural lifers. Well, not all of them. The majority of them were natural lifers, so they're going to die in prison. I worked on that unit, so that was challenging. Yeah. Challenging, you know, and these lads have got now to lose, some of them, like, so you had to work in a different way, put it that way. Yeah, I went to Wakefield and I went to Haverick, which I hated. Yeah, I didn't like that, because I'd come from Durham as well. Like, Durham was a Cat A prison at the time, and like, nothing moved without we said it moved. And if you went anywhere, the Cat A's had to go with a dog, so nothing moved unless we said it moved. I went to Haverick and I was like, where am I working? He goes, oh, and it was this unit, it was a brand new unit, it was like an IKEA drop-in wooden, like some of you'd find in the Alps. Yeah. He says, oh, you're working in there? So I made my way, and I come round this corner, there's this kid in a big long trench coat walking on his own. I was like, oh mate, where are you going? He said, I'm going to the library. I said, fucking not, like. I says, which unit you come off? He goes, I'm over there. Come round the corner, and there was hundreds of them just walking around on their own, because it's a Cat C.
Right, okay.
It just blew me mind. I was like,
when he first left the job and we had the contract and stuff, it did make us laugh. We're over in Dearbold, and there was just a young guy ambling past, and he was like, "Where you going?" I was like, "Tom, you're not at work." And then the alarm bell rang, and he took off running. He was off running. I says, "Tom," because obviously he couldn't get involved.
Yeah.
He's not an officer anymore. And what did make us laugh, we were doing a group with a bunch of young guys, and they were difficult characters, but good. They were good kids, not kids, children kids, but good lads. And then one of them was throwing a ball around, and he just left the job, and he was like, "He's getting on my nerves." And I says, "It's all right.
Calm.
Just, let's keep calm." And at the end of it, he says, "He was getting on my nerves throwing that ball." I says, "Listen, you're used to getting shit, and you, Ryan, chucked on you, and people trying to kill you." He went, "When you put it like that."
It took a while to wash out of us. Like, the alarm bell went, I was gone.
It's 3 decades, isn't it? It's a long time, man. So yeah. Well, yeah. So yeah. Then, well, I've got some questions for you, I think. Is that all right?
Yeah.
Okay then. So, I want to explore the support you got. I know you got support from the nurses, the NHS, all those wonderful professionals, the prison officers and stuff. But what about, the love you were shown by the other people who was doing time? Mm-hmm. What about that? When you look back at that, does that still resonate with you now?
Oh yeah.
Did that help kind of?
So I had, there was this lady on our wing, she was a lifer. I think she was like in her early 60s, but everyone called her Nana. Like, she was the Nana of the wing. So if you forgot something on your canteen, you went to Heather. If you something like a button come off, you went to Heather. Should I be saying her name?
Yeah, it's all right.
And she was like the one, if you were having a rough day, she would come in your pants, sit in your bed, give her a cuddle, and like, everything's all right. Not everyone, but most all got on with each other, like on the wings and stuff. And if you knew someone was having a bad day, you just went in to give them that little bit of support. Now, I would personally say that probably the lasses on some of the lasses on the wing got me through my sentence. Mm.
And I always think that if you're in the darkest of places, which prison can be, if you can take the time to shine some light on someone else, that's massive, isn't it?
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
And I don't think there's enough said about that.
No, I never seen Heather cry once or anything. She never, to look at her, she never had a down day, and she had 28 to serve, and I had 7, like 3.5 to serve there. She had to do a full 20. I used to say to her, how do you not like have a bad day? Or because she's in trouble, say, because I've got to be here. It's a sentence, I've got to serve, I've got to do my time, and then I'll get out.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever find yourself helping newbies coming in? Did you ever find?
Yeah, so I was a gym orderly, so we used to go and do the induction. Everybody had to have an induction at the gym before you could even come down. You could see which ones were vulnerable when they come down and that, definitely. And then everyone wanted to be at the gym because it was the best place to...
It's a good job. I was the gym orderly as well.
I loved
Best
it.
job in the jail.
It is the best job in the jail as far as it goes. I like my gym orderly job. Like, it was great. So yeah.
Aye.
And so from that then, and I know you've got out and then you got back into, I want to say hairdressing because that's all I've got. It might be hairstyling. I don't know which way you want to frame it. But what happens now then? So obviously what I tried to do on my journey was try and take all that negativity, all that kind of pain and the stuff, the trauma I'd kind of felt, and the trauma that had been inflicted on me and the trauma that I'd inflicted on a great many others. I wanted to do something with that, so that's what I'm doing now. Obviously the supported housing, the work in the prisons, the free community gym that we started, doing all the work there, and a lot of work with families I do, who, the children might be going off the rails, or the husband might have a drink problem, or the mother might have a drug problem, or whatever's going on. So I do a lot of that work in my free time, just to try and, I don't know, I think I'm trying to put my karma right to some degree. So where do you see yourself going with this? Because obviously, you're a wonderful human being, you've got all of this stuff going on. You've experienced what you've experienced. My question is, what are you going to do with it?
I feel like I'm on the spot.
You done it to me.
No, sorry about that. Just being there for people and like you said as well, like I had a great family network, like had that support coming out. I would love to be somebody's support coming back out into the community where they feel like they had nobody.
Yeah.
Like, and I would love, like, your proudest moment when you were saying that you see people that I would love to think that I had saved somebody's life one day.
Yeah.
You probably already have, and you didn't know it. You know, if you were kind of people in jail and stuff.
It's about, I always think Gary underplays it, and I think you do a little bit. Like what you've gone through, what you've been through, the experiences and the traumas and all of that. That can help somebody else, and that's what we do.
Well, I've been.
And I just think you underestimate. No, that's the wrong word. I'm banging my fingers again. Yeah.
I find it very hard taking compliments and stuff. Yeah. So I think like bigging myself up, or
there's nobody worse.
I cannot. Like, in fact, like I get to feel embarrassed when you say like, "Oh, you're really doing well" and stuff like that. Like that doesn't.
Well, I think you've got to learn how to take it on board, isn't it? And
there's a difference between arrogance and confidence, you know. And
well, I got called arrogant of my business partner, Tom's colleague and friend. We went to do a talk in Manchester recently, and I'm quite a shy person, me, and I've got a level of confidence. I know who I am and what I'm about. Yeah. That's what I do know these days, and I never did when I was younger. And I always wore a mask, literally, sometimes. So, but I've got to get in the mood when I do these things, right, of saying, like I did when I was a fighter, I'm the best. That's all I've got to do to drum myself up, because if you didn't have that confidence within yourself, you couldn't do it. No. You might be going out talking to 300 people, or my nerves, if I'm doing something for someone, I want to get it right for them, you know. So she says, "How are you feeling?" I says, "I'm the best. That's just the way it is. Watch this." And I got up and did it, and it was good. And I left, and she went, "What did you think?" I says, "We've smashed it. I'm the best." So she went, "You're arrogant is what you are, and you're horrible." But when I got in the car, it was gone. Yeah. Because I've got to drum myself up like that. You've got to believe in what you can do, isn't it? Yeah, yeah. So there is a big difference between quiet confidence and arrogance. But I think I've got to have a blend to get it done. Yeah. And when you're working with the people we work with, hedge funds in London and stuff, who are absolutely ruthless.
They're the criminals. They're the criminals.
They make me look like
Mary Poppins.
Bob Geldof, aye. So you've got to have that kind of confidence within yourself, haven't you? Yeah. You've got to find it somewhere. And I think the person you are, the experiences you've got, and what you want to do moving forward, I think you've got to take a lot from that. So I think so. Things missing for me then is that kind of, if someone does go on that criminal pathway inadvertently by choice or by accident, you know, I know, because there's a lot of people in prison and in the criminal justice system who shouldn't be, or who just went left instead of right and found themselves in a situation. I mean, I often say this when I'm talking to anybody. You could be out tonight with your girlfriend, boyfriend, son, you know, someone's rude to them, you give them a little push, or there's an altercation over parking. You know, we've just had someone who could have potentially been rude over parking. Anything can happen to anyone in the moment. So that's not a career criminal, and that's not a criminal by choice. You know, I've had many people who were in criminal justice. I mean, one drug squad officer ended up back on a group with me with a serious alcohol problem. Right. You know, because we know that addiction, you know, it doesn't discriminate, does it? So, you know, things can happen to people. A lot of the work that I get outside of the work I do is with families who need information about what's happening to their loved one, you know, and they'll phone up. And some people are so far removed from the situation. I mean, I had one person phone a good number of months back, and it was someone's girlfriend, and she said, "Look, he's been through the trial and he's been found guilty, but he wants to change his plea." I said, "Well, I'm really sorry, he's already gone to jail now. He's been sentenced. That opportunity it's gone." But things weren't explained. And again, what you were saying about when you got into that frame of mind, you weren't computing anything else. You know, you probably didn't process anything until you'd been in that jail for a little while. I mean, you did say that before anyway, it's fact. So these families are totally bereft of any information. The person who's in trouble is quite often really frightened as well, because they're not getting information. They'll get information from maybe a duty solicitor or a solicitor who really doesn't know them or really care about the situation. Not that I'm saying all solicitors are like that, but some are. They're there to make money, and they deal with the facts or a version of the truth. So there's a lot of work needs to be done there to help these people ease into jail. You know, who should you be talking to legally? What happens? You know, a good friend of mine, his son ended up in jail. That was a health care professional commissioner who gave the advice on what should happen,
Right.
you know, and what that person needed to do when he was in the jail. So there's that lack of information twinned with all that fear. It's a really scary situation, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think there's work to be done there. And I know, Tom, you mentioned the schools before. So we're going to be going into schools and doing a lot of work to try and turn people away. But I think, again, not just to talk about a life of crime, but to see what the children can be as well, because sometimes a formal education isn't for people. I know, you know, great business people who've done really well, who never ever went to school.
Yeah.
You know, again, trying to get someone to find the passion and to help them find who they want to be and to get them on the road to becoming that. I think that there's a lot of work to be done there as well.
Yeah.